Happy Halloween!
It's my favorite season! I say this every year, and then every year I'm like, or is it Christmas?
It's the most wonderful time of all. What is this? What is this? White stuff everywhere.
Yep. So I think some of you know we go a little crazy for Halloween in this household. We're talking in September, we start planning what the theme is going to be. We decorate our house and spend probably 2 months preparing for the big day. This year we're doing pirates, so I'm building a pirate ship that's going to be sinking in my garage. My wife got the idea from Instagram, and she's going to build like a Kraken and stuff like that. But we'll have, skeleton pirates all over the porch, treasure. It's a family affair. We all get into it. So that's why it's, a personal favorite of ours, because it means family time for me too, which is usually what most people think of when they think Christmas.
Yeah, I love it. Matey. My brother-in-law also goes all out. I stole a whole bunch of his decorations this year, and he always has a big Halloween party. And last year I had to cut it short because I had to work. But now the way my schedule works for my new job, I get to go to the party the full time and hand out candy, and I love it. I've always done that, and I love handing out candy and see all the costumes and see the kids, and it's just magical. I know that's corny, but it is a magical night in the realm of childhood, and it's fun now to be an adult and see that, because it's almost like you're giving back.
Do you guys know what you're doing to dress up this year? Are you guys doing a theme?
Yes, my brother-in-law always does themes, and last year was Stephen King, and I went as Georgie, and this year it is Ghosts, and I'm going as Beetlejuice. Yeah.
Did I tell you that when we went to New York City, that, a thing to do in New York City is you go see musicals at night. It's kind of a thing. Even if you're not into musicals, you do it. We actually saw Beetlejuice, the musical.
Do you have to say it? The musical?
No, it's just my wife. We had such a good time because it breaks the fourth wall. Beetlejuice talks to the audience. It opens up with a ballad, and he makes fun of it immediately. It's a good time. Everybody's drinking. So I don't know. It just had a special place in my heart.
Everybody's drinking. It's got to be a good time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're sitting there watching Les Mis, super sad. You're not sitting there
you're miserable.
Yeah. You go there to feel worse about your life, not to feel better about it. Like Beetlejuice, you go there to laugh and have a good time.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Awesome. All right, so what are we reading this October for Halloween?
As usual, I did my best to try to throw in some spooky reads. So to nail the 800-pound gorilla up there, yes, we are doing Edgar Allan Poe. We're going to do the Oval Portrait as well as William Wilson, which I've never read the Oval Portrait, but I have read William Wilson. I've made several references to it on this channel, so I'm excited to finally cover that.
So that's the one about doppelgangers, right? I think.
Yep,
you
exactly.
talked about
Look
that
at
one.
you.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
do remember me telling you about it. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to touzle your hair right there. Just give it a little touzle.
Yeah. And then the Oval Portrait, is that probably going to be something, I'm guessing, like Dorian Gray? Probably the portrait is going to be death.
Yeah. That's a good question. How do you make it not Dorian Gray, but...
I'm sure Poe will have his own twist on it, though. That's exciting.
Yeah. Now we've got another one that was recommended to us from our Discord called The Pale Man. I read that in high school a long time ago, and it's a little offsetting. I'll say that there's one of those motifs, a running line that you'll kind of remember throughout time, and you'll know it when we get to it because they repeat it a couple times.
Couple times? Is it when they're 50 times?
Dude, come on, don't date me. High school is how long ago? You think I remember how many times it happened? Watch when you read it now,
years.
And it happens twice, and I'm totally just overblowing how many times it happens.
Hey, that's what we are. High school is drama.
Yeah. Now, the one that we are recording tonight is going to be Troll Bridge by Neil Gaiman. And look, I pronounced it correctly this time.
Oh, good job.
That's a fun one. That's a fun one. We've where's my book on that one? We've been working through this book right here, Bedtime Stories, the Everyman's
Killer
Collections.
book, man. Yeah.
It really is. I think the Poacher by Ursula K. Le Guin was probably my least favorite of the ones that we've read, but this had Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which we loved. We loved An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. That one's just a classic. The Thing in the Forest, Young Goodman Brown, Troll Bridge, and Night Face Up by Julio
Night Face
Cortázar.
Up. That's probably the winner so
Yeah.
far. If I had to, like, sometimes you always tell me, like, well, pick a favorite this time, or, what would you say you had to read? If you buy that book, read that one first. That's the best story of the book so far.
I think each of these are a little bit creepy in its own way. Like there's like a little bit of like a haunt to them from like a Halloween perspective. Do you think maybe like this should be a new tradition? We pick 1 or 2 short stories for Halloween every year out of this book?
I love it. Yeah, let's start a new tradition right here. Boom. Done.
Okay. Well, now speaking of Cortázar, we can't forget that we are going to be covering The Blow Up this month, which is an amazing story. I'm looking forward to releasing that. That video, I think, will be coming out right after this video, so stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, Cortázar he's really grown on me. I struggled with his stuff, and now it's getting good, or I'm getting better.
Now, another favorite author of ours is Nanakwame Ajay Brenya, and we're going to do Finkelstein 5. I did read a little bit about like his stories, a little bit of plot synopsis for it, and back like in February, I think, when we led one of his last stories, I was like, okay, that's a Halloween story there, at least I think. I haven't read it yet, and I'm looking forward to it because all of his stories have been absolute fire. So that'll be the Finkelstein 5, and from what I read, it looks like it's not going to be for the faint of heart.
Okay, well, you had me sold. All of the stuff has been great so far, and if it has a Halloween twist or even just a little bit of a horror twist, it doesn't have to be Halloween per se, or anything in the realm of that scariness, I think is always gonna hit me in the heart there, since it's that time of the year.
Now, something that we've kind of accidentally been doing is Borges has this collection called Labyrinths, right? And it kind of picks, it's kind of like I would call it like a greatest hit kind of collection. But we've kind of accidentally covered 8 of the first 10 essentially out of that book.
Accidentally did Borges.
Yeah, well, I mean, we accidentally covered his greatest hits. So at this
you
point,
understand the irony of that, right? Of what Borges would say about that? You accidentally covered me?
Yeah.
We could write a story about that.
There's some universe out there where we purposefully covered him, and it ended up in the same result too.
Yeah, exactly. Or there could be some universe where we didn't cover any of his, and that is a tragedy. And those Una and Crypto should be erased and canceled from YouTube.
So we're going to be doing The Form of the Sword. I don't know anything about it, but I think from here on out, you can count on us kind of walking through Labyrinths. And I need to probably maybe create like a new playlist for like the Labyrinths book playlist, and we'll just keep walking through that.
Perfect. And then the other 800-pound gorilla in the room, we have been reading.
800-pound.
1,600 pound
page.
800 page. One day,
Yeah.
800 pages later. One day, 800 pages in 4 months and 17 hours. Una and Crypto finally finish and start to record Ulysses.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, small correction there. I mean, don't forget, you finished Ulysses
3 months ago.
I bombed out. I did. And I think it's because I need to understand more and absorb more of what's happening. Just doing the quick reading isn't working for me. I'm just an analytical dude. So originally our plan was we were both going to finish it and read through it twice, right? That's just going to be Crypto here. So he's going to be the one that is going to basically carry me. And some of these chapters I'll have read just twice. Some of these chapters I'll have only read once. But that's going to be the experience for going through it, because I need to get into this more to, I think, fully indulge in what is Ulysses.
And I would argue that I think that is how I would argue that is a better way to enjoy James Joyce. If you're looking for just fun, easy, then you read Dubliners, right? Short stories, knock them out. They're amazing. Greatest collection of short stories ever. No argument. You can't, you fight me. But if you're looking for depth and analysis, you read a book like Ulysses. And I think that one of the ways you only, quote, enjoy it is to do it that way, from my experience so far. So I don't fault you for DNFing this one.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to tell us on the second round. And I wouldn't call it a DNF. I knew we were going to come back for the second round, and I knew I was not extracting out of it what I wanted. And I'm also kind of sick of that we've now been sitting on this for 4.5 months. I'm like, let's start recording it. Let's get some movement going on it. And you know what? I kind of want to go back to the Hades chapter because that chapter was hysterical, and I love that chapter.
Yeah, and that's a book that really does, and I'm just, not spoilers, it really just does wax and wane of like you have a 10 out of 10 chapter, and then you have like a 1 out of 10 chapter following it. So it's hard to psych yourself back up, especially when you're trying to just, blast through the whole book. It is a little bit slow sometimes, and, jumping around from perspectives is difficult, but we'll get into it.
I wonder, because I feel like maybe I'm completely misremembering this, but wasn't War and Peace a little bit of a peak and valley read for us too? Like I remember like really enjoying some chapters, right?
Yes.
And I also remember some chapters being like, ugh. But I will say this, I have continued to return to like thinking about that book, about like, not the great man theory, because that's not all that interesting, and we know that's not true, but the idea of what is our role in history, right? Like how much do we really control and how much do we really influence? And I don't know, there's just something about that I continue to return to it.
Yeah, I think when you go to a chapter by chapter basis, as in War and Peace with Ulysses, there are ones that are going to be hit and miss. I mean, that's any book, right? But something like War and Peace, we gravitated towards the historical element and loved it. And I think that once we start analyzing Ulysses and not just reading through it just to read it, I think once we get into maybe the historical analysis of Dublin, of the characters, what was going on at the time, I think that that's going to play a major role. Then we'll start enjoying it more, because you and I are history nerds. So we're going to get so much more out of the book than that, where if you just read it, it's sometimes hard to see and understand why these characters are doing what they're doing, or why they're experiencing what they're experiencing, how their lives are unfolding without context. And that's so important. And not to like be mean, but James Joyce doesn't give you a lot of context. You do need a lifter book almost. You need a lifter guide. You need a lifter material to support that. And that's not a bad thing. That's just the way it is, in my humble opinion.
And some people would mark it as bad. You and I think I think to say literature has to be a specific way is almost demeaning to the creativeness that Ulysses is, right? Because like when we look at that, like you and I both are like, wow, that's actually really interesting the way he's playing with form. Oh my gosh, the stream of consciousness. While you and I read other books like that, he's kind of like a forerunner in it, right? Like one of the first to ever do it. So it's kind of unfair to judge it from like your own eyes, but the creativity is there. It really is fascinating to kind of do that. So I'm looking to see how many things I've missed on the second pass, and using skeleton keys, of course.
And that's the cool thing about literature, is it is intertwined. We've talked about before, there's only like 7 stories, and they just keep getting retold over and over again. And Joyce does an amazing job of taking a very well-known story and turning it into a day of these guys' lives, of what's going on with them. And it's pretty incredible. But you do need, I think, some assistance from outside to really grasp what has happened. At least I did anyway.
Yeah. So we'll start making some progress on that. If you guys are interested in maybe some sneak peeks behind the scene, let us know. We can definitely throw something up on Patreon or something like that. And we are starting to throw up some of our longer form content as ad-free videos for those of you that wanted to watch those, but not necessarily go through the ads if you aren't already like a YouTube premium member or whatever it's called. I don't know. I got grandfathered in years ago. I don't even know. It was like Red back then. I don't know what they call it now.
You old.
I am. I'm old Google bones over here. So, all right, guys, thanks for spending some time. What are you looking forward to this month? Let us know what you're reading down below. As always, we might throw in a few surprises throughout the month. You never know when we're feeling saucy. Hope you guys are looking forward to Halloween, as we are. Probably not. We're looking forward to it way too much. We've been starting for a month now. Peace out.
Happy Halloween.